So here we have the official Saturn V Lego set. We're going to start off by looking at the first stage here, because just like the real Saturn V, the Lego set is broken up into stages. Very cool. So it's important to note that you want to take apart the stages from top to bottom. So I'll kind of put my hand right here so we can stabilize it up. And sometimes that'll happen, but it's not a big deal. It was just the tower that fell off. We'll put it back on. We're just trying to look at the first stage for now. So, oop, and another piece comes off. Sometimes pieces will come off, little pieces, and it's not a big deal. You can just put them back on. Here is the first stage. It's really not too exciting, honestly, but the thing is that it's the biggest piece. And actually, if somebody can tell me what piece I had to replace, because I lost a piece from stuff like that happening, and you can see the piece because I replaced it really well, but there is a way that you can see the piece that was replaced. If you can tell, and you leave it in the comments, then I'll have a surprise for you. Lego related. The boosters of the first stage look like this. Pretty sweet. 5 boosters, just like the real ship. As you can see, got USA, the flag, and flags all around. Same with the USA. The second stage is the same type of deal. Not very exciting. It's still cool. As you can see, we got another United States down there. And there's detail with these black rectangles going down the side here, this printed piece. All of these are printed pieces because the stickers are really not good. Another 5 boosters on the bottom, but as you can see, they're a lot smaller. And then we have the third and fourth stage. This is really awesome, and the main piece. So as you can see, there's only one of the same size boosters as the last stage, but that's because this was intended to operate outside of the atmosphere. So you need a significant amount less thrust. And that's why when the second stage had smaller boosters as well, it's because smaller boosters work in a thinner high atmosphere. But what's key about this third and fourth stage is that once it reaches escape velocity and exits Earth's orbit, and it gets far enough away, what happens is this cap here comes off, and there's actually no piece underneath. It's not a cap piece, which is, I guess, the one thing that I wish it did. But the cap comes off and basically reveals this, right? And then the service module, this piece, breaks off. And then the command module on the service module. This is the command, this is the service. Docks with the LEM. Lunar excursion module detaches from the third stage, floats away. And then this goes to the moon, into lunar orbit. All right. And then once they get to lunar orbit, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin transfer over to the LEM, or any 2 crew members for any moon mission. Here we go to the Lunar Set. Now this is one of the best parts here. So Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin are floating around here trying to find a good place to land, and they're almost out of gas. Oh man, so they gotta find it quick, right? And they finally find a good spot. And he sets down. And then he speaks the famous words. Houston, the Eagle has landed. It's awesome. And then what actually happens is there's another booster on the bottom of the actual top piece of the LEM. So the booster blasts off like that. And then all of this is left behind. So then eventually the top of the LEM rendezvous with the command module in orbit. They transfer over into the command module. And the LEM just floats back down to the moon. And they head back for Earth. And then they parachute down and splash down into the ocean. And then these buoys inflate here. So do these. so that the capsule here floats. And then eventually a rescue ship comes to recover them. And then, unfortunately, instead of being able to parade around like they should as heroes, they were subject to quarantine, just like we technically are now. But even worse, they couldn't even leave their camper. Now let's take a closer look at these astronauts here. These micro figures, I should say. Now these micro figures are cool because they actually look like a minifigure, you know. But the only gripe that I have with these micro figures specifically is that the head looks like a regular Lego head and not like a spaceman's helmet of any kind of, you know, the space lines, or especially like the one that comes with the Lunar Lander expert set, I think is what it's, something like that is the line, or but it's a Lunar Lander. It's the same thing as the LEM here, the Lunar Excursion Module, but it's a bigger one that has real regular size minifigures with it. And so I think it should have those helmets on instead of just having a regular minifig head with no hair or anything or helmet. They should have at least rounded the stud off at the top there. I don't know why they didn't do that, but that's my only gripe with this set, I suppose, in general. And I suppose the weak point on the thing that attaches the LEM to the third stage, that's also kind of a gripe, but it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, these guys, we'll take a closer look at these guys here. As you can see, there's just some oxygen tubing type stuff for their suit, you know, pockets for certain instruments, other instruments on the suit in general. And as you can see, they have that cool gold tinted visor for their space helmet. So that's cool. At least that signifies that they have a space helmet on. I just really wish they would have gotten rid of that stud, because that would have made it look like a space helmet completely. Rounded off it. Or even made it a little bigger too. That would have been nice, so that it's not proportionally just the size of a Lego head. It's proportionally more closer to a Lego space head with a helmet on. It looks like he has two pockets there that have some sort of instruments in them. And unfortunately, micro figures are not posable, and you can't move anything around. But what do you expect? You know, they're tiny. They're the size of one stud. You know, you just click them on to one stud here. I may as well also briefly talk about these, as they come with the set, and they have some actual significance. These are actually what the rockets, the Saturn V rockets, are stored on at the Kennedy Space Center. When they lie them down on their sides like this, these are the stands that they put them on. These are what they look like. And that's what they're on in the beginning of the video, which is cool. We'll briefly take a look at the instruction manual here. Got a brief summary of the Apollo program in general. Some sweet pictures of the real Saturn V. These are what they used in reference to build the set. Here's kind of a timeline of the mission itself. That's something that's really cool. But you can find this information easily on the internet, in the same sort of layout even. Here we have some custom builders, some fan designers, as they say, with their fan sets. This is a cool one. I like this one. A little miniature, minifig-sized Saturn V Lego set. Here's the real one, part of the real one, another part of the real one. Here's the real guys that designed the actual set. Oh, and then now it's in a different language. And then obviously, there's the instructions. So I don't know when else I would talk about this, but this is a Saturn V flight manual for the real rocket. This is pretty sweet. So we'll just go take a look at this. Alright, so here we got the table of contents. Let's see, what should we look at? We'll look at the first stage. So that's what we did. So 4 through 1. Wow. Really soon here. Oh, wow, look at that. That is sweet. Ooh, here's an old school schedule. Nice. Saturn V launch vehicle. Awesome. Stage electrical interface flow. Wow. Here you got the procedures in order. Really cool. Here we have a map for its trajectory and mapping out where it's going to go and where the debris of the first stage is going to go. That's what I mean by it. Level monitoring and control. Nice. Here's a diagram of a rocket engine. Sweet. So here we got the fuel, and then the oxygen that you need to bring with you to burn the fuel while you're in space. I love all these drawings, these diagrams, schematics, all this stuff is awesome. And the other thing is, it's not just like a visual dictionary for Star Wars. This is the real deal here. You know, a long time ago, this stuff would have been classified. Which is really, really funny to me. Here we are. F1 major components. The F1 engine is the engine that got us to the moon. It's the most powerful engine that we have devised so far. Actually, at least it was. Maybe Elon Musk has made a more powerful one, but I'm not sure about that. I believe the F1 engine is still the most powerful engine, but I may be wrong. Elon may have built something else. When I was like not super young, but kind of young, I remember the F1 engine was always the most powerful rocket engine.